Hello. It's Millennial Pro Wrestling Podcast featuring Danny and Brendan Devine, 2/3 of the Millennials, and our guest today, this fine, what is this going to come out? November day.
I have no idea.
Because it's live. Ray Rosas.
Hi.
The one, the only, the most famous man in, I'm going to say America.
The room, at least.
At least the room.
At least the room.
The only person that's been on TNT. No, were you on TNT?
No, I wasn't even on TNT.
I've been on YouTube too. Wow, I'm Ray Rosas. I was on YouTube. I take that back. You're not famous at all.
Yeah. Well, see ya.
No, just kidding. He is famous. The Rams added him on Twitter or something.
Nope, they just replied.
Or they replied to his tweet.
Biggest day of my life.
Anyway, Ray, we've talked about you on every podcast, so welcome to our show.
I know I'm here. You've it's like Beetlejuice. You conjured me by speaking my name.
Yeah, we had to talk about you for 5 episodes straight. And
Yeah, pretty much.
5 epusodes. Wow.
Everything comes back to, and then Ray helped us do this, and then Ray got us into this booking, or Ray pulled a favor for us in this instance.
You guys make it big. Make sure to bring me along.
Hey, our last episode got 72 views.
Pretty good.
Is that the most views of
100.
all time on YouTube?
Close.
What's the highest YouTube video views, you think?
73.
Like
We're almost there.
I watch a lot of YouTube. I watch a lot. As a matter of fact, I was watching some YouTube on the drive over. There's some content creators,
Okay.
and they're like that's their job.
Yeah,
Totally. That's what they do for work, and that's what they do for money. And they have Patreon accounts to back all this stuff. It's crazy. I was watching Lindsay Ellis. She's pretty cool.
I don't know who that is.
But she's probably has like millions and thousands of hundreds of thousands of views, and she talks about like Disney stuff. But then she was talking about some authors suing each other, and it was you need to talk more about controversial stuff like that.
Okay.
Or you guys are too niche.
We talk only about wrestling and our experience with it the very few years we've been doing it.
Well,
Yeah, so this
I won't have much to add really.
You're old.
Oh shit. Remind me.
Look at that gray beard.
All the gray in my hair. I have to wear a hat.
Hey, I'm balding, so.
My hair's beautiful.
So, Ray, you've been on a lot of podcasts recently, and everyone asked you how you got started. We don't care about that. So
I was in a backyard, and I was a young man from the Antelope Valley, and now I'm Ray Rosas.
you trained at Santino's, now you don't. Moving on.
As Danny said, everyone's seen the Spider-Man origin story 1,000 times. We get it. Uncle Ben died. Get over it. You're Spider-Man now.
We need to see Bruce Wayne's parents get shot in the alley. It's over and over and over again. Yeah. We need to know why Batman is the way he is.
We'll hit all the questions that people actually care about. When did you start in wrestling? How did you meet Peter? What happened to PP Ray? Blah, 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 blah.
Please see my other podcast for that.
We'll
answer all those
other shows.
God,
what was it like going to Orlando and wrestle? Or what is it? Tampa?
No, Jacksonville.
It's Jacksonville. Whoops. I don't know.
And let me tell you about that. Did nobody care about me until I went to Jacksonville? I had 5 or 6 podcast requests, and I did them all because
That's nice.
I was just trying to capitalize on the momentum. There were a lot of people that didn't know who Ray Rosas was before I appeared on Dark, and so it's like. Now people might be searching me, Googling me, looking me up, looking them up on Twitter. So it's like, okay, I got to capitalize, strike with iron hot and produce content for people to see and watch and get to know me. Luckily, at the same time, Bar Wrestling had released pretty much all my bar wrestling matches. So if however you feel about that, personally. But the fact that there was, content with me wrestling big name stars like Orange Cassidy, Ivelisse, Crime Time, and for them to be like, oh, now see this guy they just witness wrestle and then watch him wrestle familiar wrestlers that they know. Oh, I see this guy on TV. I see that guy on TV now. Oh, Ray wrestles those guys. So kind of like, okay, I need to
jump on the opportunity.
Ride the wave of this momentum and see where it takes me. I finally broke 5,000 Twitter followers, and
wow.
Whoa, 5,000.
Yeah,
I thought 400 was the highest. That's what I have.
Every fake Danny Devine account has more followers than me. So
Man, that's true. You might be the fake Danny Devine.
The saga that is our fake Twitter account.
That was our quarantine drama that we were feeding off of. What is the mysterious?
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, people don't know.
That's gonna be our opening. So those of you that don't know, All three of us. Brendan, not really. Mostly Ray and I.
Mine had like 20 followers. Than my fake one.
Yeah, the fake one went after the more famous wrestlers.
Okay. I mean, let me tell you the story.
Yeah. Okay. Please do.
So it was brought to my attention that there was a fake Ray Rosas account on Twitter, but they were going by the name Ricky Rosas, and yeah. So and they had all my pictures, and they were just so blatantly Mexican. Like they were just going like they were trying to be like an Eddie Guerrero. Like using verbiage like Eddie would use and stuff like that. Like
you don't use a lot of like Latino influence in your
like
moves.
you don't even know that I am Mexican, but this person was just like, oh, doing stuff, and then I put something about like I remember screen capping and putting it on Instagram like, oh look, I got a fake a fake.
It was funny back then.
It was funny then. I'm like, yeah, I got, and it was kind of like how low is your like self-esteem where you're pretending to be me. Like you're not even pretending to you're not even pretending to be like someone important. You're pretending to be me.
I think that's what we thought, and we didn't think they could get lower.
So Danny in his infinite wisdom here decides to like antagonize.
Go at him because that's what he does. He's freak
like,
out.
You're not Ray Rosas, this and that, blah blah blah. And so what do? They start pretending to be Danny. They
use your old account, right?
Yeah, they turned the Ricky Rosas, and then it changed to Ray Rosas, and then they changed to Danny Devine. And that one is the oldest account, and that's the hardest one to take down because that one has the most followers.
It has like 1,000-something followers.
Because they thought it was me at first. So of course, if Ray Rosas is following me, I'm gonna follow that person back, or Ray must have a new account or something like that. So it's like Ray Rosas PW at Ray Rosas PW.
Because like legit, like wrestlers that we like know follow the fake account.
Say the one person who and I'm gonna put him on blast like a little bit for this. The person who I always see following all the fake accounts, Mike Camden. I don't think he like pays attention on Twitter that much.
Well, remember,
like all the fake accounts, he would just be like, I know them. And he puts
remember Mike Camden tagged the fake Ray Rosas in a tweet. Not
Maybe
realize
it's him. Shout out to Mike Camden, Hogsman Podcast too.
Oh, they never invite me on. What's the problem here, guys?
Because he's the fake account.
Oh,
we're coming for you, Mike.
Mystery solved.
So anyway, that account just like whoever that was running it, like we thought it was somebody we knew, but I think
it wasn't. It didn't end up going that way.
Now, I mean, we went on a witch hunt and we accused people and
okay, you were talking about a witch hunt. So I got married in July.
Okay,
my wife is sitting on the couch that's right next to the camera over there.
She directs the show.
She's the director, and on our honeymoon, we're in quarantine. We went to where did we go again? Lake Arrowhead. Lake Arrowhead is where we went. A good amount of time because we couldn't leave the hotel. Like everything was closed. We researched and tried to bug who the account was. She's like, I'm gonna hack into the Twitter mainframe and I'm gonna. She just tried passwords over and over again. But we got the email address.
She sent me a spreadsheet with all my followers and thought narrowed it down to who she thought
she should be in the FBI.
I was like,
see,
dang.
The thing about it was, I mean, because they were harassing people online. Like they were. I'm getting emails and messages from colleagues from across all of pro wrestling, telling me like, hey, is this your student? Yeah. And like
Adam Pearce.
Yeah, Adam Pearce, Cheeseburger.
Cody Rhodes responded one time.
So and first off is like, why do you even pay attention to that? As if you're that big and have that many followers, like why would you even pay attention to that? And third is like, that's not. People are questioning it, and the fact is, like the original Danny, the actual Danny, the real Danny, so supposedly, if that's who you are,
that's what we think,
has had less followers than the fake one. So people were like believing that this was the real one, disrespecting everyone.
See, I had no doubts. Like, there's no way Danny's gonna have 1,000 followers on Twitter. Get out of here.
And I remember telling Danny, I'm like, Danny, you have to first off, keep your same Twitter handle because Danny kept changing his. What kept. So the other guy kept changing his.
You're just a ball of emotions. You just can't.
I was trying to because I thought, here's my thought. I thought if I changed my real name and then I sent a picture of my ID to Twitter, they would get rid of him because he was using my photo. Twitter did nothing.
Twitter hates you.
So
as everyone else in the world.
Yeah. So
so we took to Twitter.
It kind of was like a movement. Like a lot of people were got behind, we got to ban this account. I can't wait for it. We're just gonna, and everybody was reporting it, and that was the cool thing for a week.
250 followers
because of it. Yeah, I mean, so it
worked.
But do the means justify the ends?
So So what you're really saying is that like you and Camden work together
Yeah.
to get 250 more followers.
We did manage to get one of the fake Ray Rosas. Ray Rosai?
Are you asking us?
Ray
Rosas.
Ray Rosas? Moose? It's like moose, right? Moose is just moose. Like the herd of moose is just moose, right?
What's plural Ray Rosas?
Ray Rosas.
You know who I would ask? I don't know. Actual Ray Rosas.
We had one of the fake accounts taken down finally. The fake Danny is still alive and well, but it's losing followers
because he's so mean.
Yeah,
like he like puts like straight hate speech on people's like I'm so proud of myself on this wrestling thing. He goes, I hate you, and everyone thinks that you're the worst.
It was concerning because in like today's world, like you can get canceled for like anything.
Oh yeah,
and this dude is being like super like racist and homophobic and saying like the most horrible stuff, and I'm sitting there like. And
I'm like, and I remember telling you, brother, like you don't tweet enough, so people don't know that's not you. And I told him, like,
the birth of millennial pro wrestling.
Exactly. And I said, and I told him, you have to create content for people to watch to know that's actually you. You have to put either matches out or put podcasts out or something. And he was already doing the two Catholic.
Yeah, my other thing.
Yeah, you were already doing a podcast.
When you're like, I'm gonna use my real name, I was like, don't do that.
Yeah,
yeah. I didn't.
And I was like, first off, stick to a Twitter handle. Put it on everything. So like now when you post pictures, you probably should just watermark your at Daddy Divine.
I don't remember what my Twitter handle is, but it's right there.
Yeah,
Ray's is the other Ray Rosas.
And then make the podcast. So this is just a tool, so that way he could put it on his Twitter and be like, hey, check out my podcast at Danny Divine Pro. No underscore. Don't get fooled. Because if you get fooled, it's on you now, you dumb fucks. That's what Danny would say. I would never say that.
You would never say that.
Yeah, fake Danny. That's what fake Danny
You know what's going to happen now, though? Little Raymond's going to watch this, and you're going to be watching it with him, and he's going to get so mad at you.
He's going to give me one of these looks like, you can watch the screen and go...
The story behind that really quick is we play a lot of Call of Duty with Ray, and sometimes we play with Little Raymond.
People were mad. One time there was a podcast where people were mad that we played Call of Duty. So you don't.
It's fine. It's
don't
quarantine.
Put that out in the world.
And whenever we play with Little Raymond, Ray's son, Ray gets mad because he's a very emotional man. So when he dies, which is a lot, he's like shit or like fuck that motherfucker, and then we'll hear Raymond like, Dada, no. You can't say that. And like, he's right. You're a bad influence.
I was trying to bring him today.
He didn't want,
he didn't want to come though.
I mean, it was too early and it's a far drive.
Yeah. We have another chair. Could have been on. First time 2 guests.
And then like, Ray, what's your life been like?
with the quarantine happening, with the shutdown? No, like I wrestled on Bar on a Wednesday night, and then like that night the news broke that like they were going to limit like in like indoor events, anything like to less than 150 people. And that week, we were all talking that week when we were running, the Millennium that Friday, bottle service.
Such a dope poster.
I know.
And we were like, we should still run the show, but there was a lot of pressure from the community to cancel the show.
Mm-hmm.
And like left and right, a bunch of shows were canceling, coming up like in the 2 weeks. They were canceling, so we were like on the fence, like, oh, we shouldn't cancel. We're not going to draw more than 150 people anyway. We can't even,
we can't even get on.
I think it was down to like the 11th hour where we were just like, we're not going to.
It was Thursday,
like
Thursday night. We decided not to do it
because like a lot of the journalists in the area were like, oh, and then like I remember Frankie Frank was the name that was dropped. Like, what if
Frankie Frank gets it?
Gets it to you, and you give it to your mom, and your mom gets sick and dies, and we were like, what? Why? And then it was Diego. Was like, why Frankie? All people. And then but then here we are.
Got corona.
Here we are, 8 months later, and Frankie was the first one of us to get it that we know of.
True.
That's why we're like 4 feet apart. A fathom is 6 feet, so we got to stay a fathom away from each other.
Well, yeah, you're on TV, kind of.
Yeah, I have to get tested all the time. I've never had this much stuff shoved up my nose since the 80s.
Hey. What year were you born?
86.
Okay, so shut your mouth.
The 80s were rough for you?
Yeah.
Oh, 4 years ago?
Brother. You think it stopped in the 80s and went on to the early 90s? You see New Jack City?
Yeah.
that was a crack cocaine epidemic.
Anyway.
Let's talk about wrestling.
The drug abuse part of our podcast.
So no, it's not because the pandemic happened and wrestling shut down, and I remember being, and all of us were, I think, we're just down and out, like within March and April. May, no gyms open, no schools open, no wrestling going on. Everything was canceled. The world was shut down. The world has stopped turning. And I think it was Diego Vowns was like, you guys should download Warzone, Call of Duty Warzone. It's free. It's free.
It was just a random thing he just said.
And so I'm like, cool, whatever. I downloaded it first, and then I started playing with him and Caleb, and I'm like, this is the best. It's so much fun. Because I remember we tried like one Zoom meeting, all of us together.
It sucked.
Yeah, it was like us and Moon, Barbie, Beetle.
It was a bunch of people.
Yeah, and we were on it, and we're like, oh, just sitting there drinking, and then and it was fun.
We did it the one time, and that was it. And then Warzone happened.
And that was a way for us to hang out and connect without having to be around.
Warzone has been a gift.
It really has.
If we didn't have it, I don't know what would happen.
I have no idea.
Never would have talked to you again.
God, I wish Warzone didn't happen.
We talk about literally everything over Warzone.
That's true. That's our new after show.
Yeah.
Like
Instead of
powwows.
standing-
It's just late night Warzones. In the chat, we're always like Warzone at 10.
Yeah, we don't.
And then you
we
get
don't-
all mad when we're not there exactly at that time.
Listen,
It was 10:05 last night.
I don't have a lot going on.
Oh,
Okay.
I don't have
Man.
kids or a wife. I have Warzone, and you guys, I can't play alone.
speaking of kids, let's jump into that for a second because you were gonna be a big old quitter. You big old quitter. I remember there was a day we were after it was after an MPW show. We were at our like local. We always go to this one bar. I don't remember what's it called. Do you remember what it's called?
Ravens,
No, Celtic.
Celtic
Raven.
Raven.
Somewhere in the middle of the valley. And we would go there. It was Chatsworth. That's in the valley.
It's not the middle of the valley.
Oh, you're right. Ray, where is it?
It's in Chatsworth.
It's in Chatsworth. Anyways, we'd go there, and so one day Ray's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna retire." We're always like, "No, you're not, Ray. Shut up." Like, and then he takes out his phone and he shows us like the sonogram of like a baby, and we're like, "Oh, you are gonna retire."
Yeah.
That baby is like.
That's little Julian.
Yeah, Julian's
He's
like
out and
four
about now.
months now, and he's.
And you went on AEW, so you're not retired.
So this is another interesting story. I talked about the almost retirement a couple of times, but like I was thinking about retiring for a long time already. I think what delayed it was bar wrestling, and how popular Peter and I were getting. And I was like, cool, we were making tons of money, like with the tips, with the merch, with the actual booking, and then have that happening, and then doing Millennium, so that'd be like a Wednesday, Thursday.
You were making money with wrestling big time.
Yeah, and it was like, and I already have my day job, which that takes care of everything else. All the money I make with wrestling is just extra money, and it goes towards the family, like buying annual passes for Disney and whatnot, and buying all kinds of stuff. Having good Christmases, but like what I mean, like just bar would be on Wednesday. Lucha Vavoom would probably be on a Thursday. Millennium's on a Friday. Ground Zero was on a Saturday, and then the taping would be on a Sunday. So that'd be like 5 days of straight wrestling, 5 days of just extra money, doing what you love.
Come on, Ray.
But I think like I said, I was really thinking about retiring before that, and
But you had just come back to Hollywood at that point. But you weren't really. You were kind of.
it was like a little bit before, after that. I think after the Peter angle done. I think after I dropped the TV belt. Because I was like, I'm kind of over this, and then of course the time. I have to look at the actual timeline and how it worked out. But I've already been contemplating the idea of retirement for a long time. When Peter got signed, when Bateman got signed, and a lot of other people were leaving, I was like, damn, I'm sitting here by myself.
Leftover.
I was left, and that's where leftover came up. And I'm like, man, I'm pretty up there in age in terms of like,
That's true.
That meme that Fry meme from Futurama, and he's sitting on the couch, he looks at the note and it says you should have accomplished more at this age. That was me, but like that was me.
Depressing.
And then he goes down into his hands, but like that was kind of how I felt. It's like I should have accomplished more, because guys like like Sky and
everyone you just said.
yeah.
People that you came up with.
Yeah, but they had accomplished a whole lot by the time that they were my age, and of course this guy's older, but look at him now, having the time of his life. So I was like, dang, I should have already been here. I should have already done this, and I haven't. I felt like I just felt like just a more successful, bittered vet. Because you have those vets that are the 40 milers. that haven't done nothing, and we do know one.
We know a bunch.
But it's like, okay, so I'm just slightly successful. Why would anybody even want to learn from me if I haven't really done anything?
Because you're not an asshole.
Because you're super good. Yeah. You're asking the people who learn from you, so that's a bad time to ask.
That was my thought process. Was like, why would anybody even want to learn from me if I haven't even done anything? Because anybody can go like, if I try to give someone advice, so this was always like the thing that was like, oh, what if I, go, hey, because I'll always watch a match and then like, oh, you should have did this, and then like someone would be like, well, why don't you tell them? And I'm like, well, then they're gonna be like, well, who the fuck are you?
I can see that.
I see what you're saying, but that. I just don't. In my mind, that sounds ridiculous. Knowing you and like knowing how you perform and how you teach and things like that. I was sorry, you were saying something.
I just exactly the same thing. I think that I get what you're saying from a like overall perspective. I think it's hard for us to relate because it's just the opposite. It's always been the opposite. I remember one specific instance where we were at a show and we had wrestled somebody and they were like, "That was so great," and I was like,
"That was the worst match ever."
And then, like you come walking up and Daniel Moon goes, "Here comes the truth." It was not that good.
That was not good.
That's a different thing because
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But no, that's a different thing because like I'm supposed to watch you guys and find all that bad stuff. You know, like I will eventually tell you what you guys did good, but first thing I have to tell you is what you did wrong, and that's my responsibility as the coach, as the teacher, to do that. So of course, like that's a different thing. But it's like when I have this stupid urge to like want to help everybody. And you've seen me at shows where we're sitting by the monitor and I'm watching. I'm like, oh, what did you do that for? Oh, you should have took it home now. Or oh, you had the crowd right where you wanted them, and this and that, and oh, they're going too long. And like that's the beauty of like knowing when to call it in the ring, because you'll know when you're overstaying your welcome.
For sure.
And I'll dive into stuff like that later on.
It's so wild to hear you say that too, because I'm thinking of it now as you put it that way. You're like, oh, who wants to learn from me? I haven't done nothing. When like there have been so many shows that we've been on that like there are a couple of times that B-Boy wasn't at Ground Zero, so you had to do the opening meeting for everybody and like explain all the rules, and like you're running around like helping people put stuff together and things like that, and everyone's like, hold on, I gotta go ask Ray if that's okay or whatever. Like when we went to AWS, we were like sweating bullets, like, where is Ray? We gotta call his parts and everything, because you're running the show, you're running around every which direction, and it's like.
And again,
so I see what you're saying when you're like, it's hard to be like, oh, like, because I haven't done anything, but like that doesn't like apply to you in a weird way.
Those examples are slightly different because like it's immediately known that I'm the guy in charge.
Yeah, it's true.
So and again, I'll talk about that along with the other stuff. Right now we're talking about the faux retirement and then the
right. And then that's what this podcast does. We just trail away.
But that was my mindset, was going into like I haven't accomplished much. I'm probably not going to accomplish anything. And I was looking at a post wrestling career in coaching, booking, and
of course,
being an agent. So like that's why I was already kind of prepping myself for that. So I was already like making my plans. Like I remember I told Paul Logan X, I was telling him like, don't worry, I'm not gonna quit. I'm not gonna leave you. I'm still gonna be here training, and I'll still be here booking. So don't worry about that. And so like and I was doing the open challenges, and that was a great experience, and that was out of spite too. Honestly, if you think about it, is because like all these people are getting picked up, all these people are getting signed, and they're my friends, and I'm very happy. And the whole thing was to try to prove something to people, and prove something to myself, prove my worth a little bit. It's like, you know what, I'm Ray Rosas. And we it's weird how like this dichotomy, if that's the correct word, this duality of Ray Rosas that is like, I'm like, I'm the worst, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, there's no middle. It's like, I'm the worst, I hate wrestling, this and that. And then it's like, I'm the best out here and I can outwork everybody. And it's just like, there's these, I don't know if it's
two extremes.
I don't know if it's because I'm a Gemini or anything, but that's just how it's like, man, like, when I get angry or heated, it's like, you know what, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to wrestle anybody that wants to wrestle me, and I'm going to give them a great match, and I'm gonna prove to everybody that I am as good as people say that I am or think that I am, and how I think I should. I was just trying to prove to myself, prove to everybody else everybody on the scene. It's like I'll on Facebook. It's like, whoever wants to wrestle me, put it in the comments, pick a date, and you're gonna wrestle me. And
it filled up in like minutes
and
like literal minutes.
It's like concert tickets.
And
That's like when like people talk about like, oh, I was gonna go out for this big show and I was worried no one was gonna remember me. That's what you said. Like, I don't think anyone's gonna comment. Minutes, 58 comments, and you're like, I have to pick 10 out of these 58 for 10 weeks of matches.
So and that was it served two purposes. Was that for that, let's say right now, was like to go out there and also help other wrestlers, because like you guys were kind of spoiled in the respect that you guys had me there every week to help you guys.
Oh yeah.
But like other people, when we did the seminar for B-Boy at Ground Zero, a lot of guys were like, coming up to me and wanted to talk, and I was like this is great, it was nice to have a different group of people to try to, repeat the same stuff that I've been telling you guys into your head. But also like help them out, like because a lot of these guys weren't going to be good, and I said, as long as you have a year of experience, like I'll wrestle you and we'll help you through it. And it was a real simple formula. Was like, this match is about you. These fans know who I am. These matches about you. So let's establish who you are. Let's establish what you do. Hit all your greatest moves, all the moves you can hit. And
I'm going to overdrive you.
And then I'll hit the overdrive, and I'm going over there. It's 99% you, 1% me. That's kind of how we went into it. And then sometimes they would be, okay, no, let's go 50-50. Let's be more competitive, and I'll sell my ass off for you. And I didn't win every one. I didn't try to put myself over by winning every one. Well, it told the overall story of me like getting worn out to the end. It's like a regular sports
Let's
team.
go into that a little bit, into the open challenge. Like, what were the ones that you remember the most from that?
Of course, you'll always remember your first, and that was Remy Morgan.
Remy Morgan.
Yeah,
the Roses. Rose, is that yeah, he does the Roses.
He throws them.
I like Remy. He's a nice guy.
Remy's cool. Remy's really nice.
Came from San Diego to wrestle you.
Yeah, and
on a Friday.
I think everybody that's on the greatest hits or the best of on YouTube is probably the ones I remember.
Calling me out. Okay, I didn't watch it. I'm sorry.
Ones that I remember are like EJ, obviously.
Well, obviously EJ and Anthony Idol. Because those guys are good.
But like you and Peter like had a special like hand in EJ. Like you guys like really.
Yeah, we molded him. He had a lot of talent. He has a lot of charisma. Very athletic.
Yeah.
He was just missing a little bit of like some tenacity in him, some attitude. Like an edge. He was missing his edge, and so like that's kind of what from the get go. Because I remember wrestling him a few years back when the Arizona State title tournament. Like we were in the first round match, and we had this moment where like we're going through the match, we're going through the motion, and then I'm like, this is Ray Rosas, the veteran. And we're standing, we're doing the standard B-boy strike off in the center of the ring, and I go, I remember pushing him, and I go, "Come on, kid, show me what you got. Give me everything you got." And he like, he forearms me, and I'm like selling. I'm like, "Come on, show me why you're the man." And then he boom hit me again, and then he fired up. And I'm like, "Fire up, fire up, kid, fire up, keep going, fire up." And boom, boom, boom. And then I eventually I go on to win the match, but it's the old pick him up, shake his hand, you earn my respect. You hurt me real good, kid. You good respect. And then from that on, I won't say that it's because of me, but a lot of guys had hands in helped make him, but he's probably the most popular star in Championship Wrestling Arizona,
without a doubt.
And
he's on Hollywood a lot too. So.
Yeah,
I say his success in Arizona is what led to his big time Hollywood success.
With Peter's booking, Peter's direction, Peter and I have similar minds when it comes to wrestling, when it comes to putting a match together, but also comes with evaluating and accentuating talent. And again, we'll get into that once we talk about the booking aspect.
Right. So you did the open challenge. Let's get back on track to your being a quitter. So you
are we still talking about
that? This is all the overarching story.
You did the open challenge to prove it to yourself and prove to everybody else that you could wrestle anybody on any given night and give them a quality match. Which I
first of all, I had to prove to everyone else what you had to prove to yourself, and that was it. Everyone already knew that.
But it's more like sure, but in your own mind, you think I'm going to show everybody that like you can watch any of those open challenge matches, and they are matches of quality,
of standards. Great. Okay, I'm with you.
You have to you can only wrestle to the level of the person you're wrestling in some aspects, but they're all quality matches.
You're right.
The match with Dark Usagi I thought was really fun. The Orion Odyssey will always hold match.
Orion Odyssey.
That will always hold.
He beat you, huh?
He did.
You loser.
But it's like you know,
That guy's the nicest dude in the whole world.
He's a great dude, and he worked real hard. And a lot of the guys from San Diego telling me like how hard he was working to prepare for that match. And when somebody, and again, it's like it's weird in wrestling because he's much older than me, and you know I'm always like. I give you the respect as the older, but then it's like I've been wrestling longer, so he gives me the respect. So he's you know,
it's a weird dynamic.
Yeah, it's a weird dynamic, and the fact that he showed me that like somebody that I would view like that I respect showed me that much respect is like okay, I'm gonna work my ass off for you now too because that's I think that's how wrestling should be or it is, but it should be is like you respect me, you work hard for me, I respect you, I work hard for you, and then we're gonna make a moment, we're gonna make a match. And that's kind of what we did is like, you know, and it was also like selling the injuries from the Anthony Idol match the week before. So I had injured ribs and I had going in there hurt. I had a handicap. But yeah, he like I said, he worked his ass off in that match.
And you could tell when a match is important to somebody, it's always like, you can tell, and I think it brings out the best in them. And you could tell from the second he showed up that day, he realized like, and you mentioned it earlier, like we are sometimes spoiled in the sense of like if somebody goes, oh, you're wrestling great, and I'd have been like, okay, cool, whatever, like easy night.
Yeah, see, we definitely lost the match.
And to him, it was like the biggest deal. He was like, I'm wrestling Ray tonight. I may never wrestle him again. He's like got all this. Where I'd be like, cool, I don't have to think about it.
Yeah,
easy. roll through Fisherman.
Done.
But anyway, so like you could just tell. And it showed in his performance that he gave it everything he had, and it was a pretty, super fun match.
So that was the first round of open challenges. I can't remember who the last one was of that round. Because I remember I did 2 rounds.
I have no idea.
But but
was it Super Beetle?
No, Super Beetle wasn't until the second round. Because
like
it was funny because the first round of Ray Rosas Open Challenges was mostly San Diego guys. The second round was mostly EWF guys.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you wrestled like Tyree and like Honest John and all that. Yeah. No, that was all the second round. You're right.
But it's like it also kept me busy storyline wise. It kept me on the show without me having to be like beating you guys and competing and keep beating for the belts.
And so it brought a lot of the like SoCon Censored was all about it, and they were like that brought attention to our shows.
Yeah.
So like it was a drawing point.
So like we had people from outside our show coming in, getting a chance to showcase. And the thing is like I was gonna bring EJ eventually anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, if you're willing to drive over here and like, you know, do this, like you're gonna get a spot. And at the end of the match, our fans loved EJ, and we did end up bringing him back to wrestle Diego.
Yes.
To another like killer match too. Yeah.
And so like that was the whole purpose. It's like let's give these guys work. Let's give them a chance to show off in front of our audience, because you know me, it's like. I'm only gonna book you if you either help my students or help the draw, and this was an outlier. This was a unique opportunity to get new eyes, to get fresh talent without us because that was a problem with our old at Moore Park, was that we already exhausted all our matches that we could possibly run.
Yeah, big time.
We had a very limited budget then. And we couldn't really be bringing in people, and especially if we did bring them in, and we'd have like a really bad night of just 6 or 7 people. Those were them hard times. Those were them salad days.
Yeah.
But in Chatsworth, we were drawing well. We were making good money. We were able to pay a lot of the talent. And so it's like, okay, well, this is it'll bring fans from outside too, because maybe some people will drive up from San Diego. Maybe some people will drive over from San Bernardino.
The Orion Odyssey match, we like sold out that show because he brought a lot of people who wanted to come see him.
Well, I think the Chatsworth thing did a lot because it was for other guys too, even the more experienced guys as well as the Open Challenge. It was like it's not as daunting of a task to drive to Chatsworth as it was to drive all the way out to Moore Park.
Yeah, it's like another 45 minutes.
Yeah,
past.
so.
But so here I am. I'm working with young guys. I'm helping them out, helping them learn, putting some over, and I didn't see a light at the end of the tunnel in terms of like a big time future. So I was like, you know what? I think, and then of course what Brendan had alluded to earlier was that my wife was pregnant with our 3rd child, and I'm like, here I am. I'm about to turn 34. We're gonna have 3 kids. I have a pretty steady shoot job that will take care of my family,
right?
Because I've always kind of been, and I think, and that might have been what killed me, was that I've always had one foot in, one foot out. It was like I couldn't really fully commit to wrestling because I always had to make sure that I had job to take care of, because I was told early on is like, hey, and this is how different the times were. Hey, you're 5'7", you're 140 pounds. There's very little chance you're gonna make it, so have something to fall back on. So I took that to heart, so I always made sure I had a good job, and to fall back on.
Put your family first.
Yeah, and I did. I put my family first, but so wrestling became like a hobby.
Sure.
And then I became the dreaded 40 miler, so I only didn't leave 40 miles from my house. But I did, of course I went to a couple places, but that's kind of, I felt like there's not really, like, here I am, king of the bubble. I'm just gonna call it a career before I overstay my welcome, before I become a parody of myself.
Right.
And then go out on top. Do the Scott Lost. Just go out on top. People just remember me how good I was, and don't have a chance to see how bad I'll be.
Right.
Sure.
That's true.
That's a real thing.
You only think about Scott, you're like, oh, that guy was rad.
He was great.
So good.
I wish Scott would come back, or wish Scott had stuck around, because he'd be in AEW right now. Either as a wrestler or probably as like a producer.
Yeah,
Probably.
So that was it. Like, okay, I'm retired. So I remember just making the announcement. It was like one of those things. It's like, I don't know if we should talk about it or if we say anything, but it's like I know if I don't put it out there, if I don't say anything, I won't follow through.
Yeah.
So I went out there and I said it, and you were mad about it because I did it. Because for weeks and weeks we were talking about
at the show.
Yeah,
I was pissed.
You were weeks and weeks we were talking about, I'm quitting, retiring, blah, blah, blah. You're not retiring, blah, blah, blah. And then I finally was like, hey guys,
May something or other.
May 29th.
We should have done a run-in.
That's
stopped him.
That's it. And so it was a Friday, so I wanted to have and like that's how much I loved Millennium, was that I wanted my last match to be there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like that'll be like the final thing I can give to MPW before I can retire. And then the pandemic happened halfway through the second
Open
challenge, and I had like a lot of good matches lined up. I think I had a girl wrestling, and I had I can't remember. I think I was wrestling Romeo Cruz. And
so long ago.
There was a lot of like, this one was a lot more like really green people on this second run. Whereas this first one, there was like people that, not necessarily, like people that have been around. I mean, you wrestle Anthony Idol, like everyone, like he's not.
You had like Anthony Idol, Hunter Freeman, like guys who had like been around for a bit.
But what's funny thing was like those were first time matches.
Right.
Yeah.
So weird.
And then, but the second one, it was a lot more guys like, without this open challenge, there's no way on a show that they would get booked against you unless you were booking the show. As
Eliza Hammer we had brought in. That's the one. That's the female.
Yes.
Oh, she was gonna be her.
She was the show before the close.
Yeah.
Like it was supposed to be her and you, and then we closed.
And she was in NorCal, so I told her like, hey, like we're gonna cancel the show, so don't come. I don't want to make you drive all the way down here.
Yeah.
But that's I lost my train of thought right now because we were talking about. That was it.
You made the announcement.
Yeah, so you made the announcement,
You're
and
done. Then the pandemic.
The pandemic happened. So all of April, we're like, you can't retire now because we're playing Warzone.
My wife was the one that kept, for the whole time, she kept trying to talk me out of retiring. And she was like telling me like, well, see, this is how it's going to be when you retire. It's going to be stuck at home. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'll join a bowling league and do that every week.
Are you big into bowling?
What are you, Fred Flintstone?
I love bowling.
Do you really?
I love.
We should
bowling.
go bowling.
Hell yeah!
We can make a bowling team
once I retire.
This is why we make fun of you, because you do this, you get all excited about it. Now it's like less cool in my mind. Is that what you feel?
Every day.
We can make shirts.
I do kind of want to make shirts. Let's make shirts. Dream team.
Hey, Ray and I won duos in Warzone 2 times.
20 total victories in Warzone.
I'm on my.
We should cancel the.
Do you remember
this is a Warzone podcast.
Do you remember when I clutched, guys? Do you remember when I clutched?
You did.
He did.
Okay,
He did clutch once.
One time. I'm gonna hold on to it forever.
Yeah.
I mean, it was dope.
Usually, I'm the first one dead.
I can't remember when exactly.
No, you're not. Reckless Ray is.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly when I decided not to retire. I think it was like.
I don't either.
I was already like.
You did.
And it was like.
Didn't you talk to like Dave Marquez and he like kind of talked you out of it? That's what he like.
I think it was because we. Like everybody threw everything at me at that point when I retired. Like I became Santino champion. I won the PP3 Cup, and then I won the Arizona State title. And of course, with the PP3 Cup is pretty much a guaranteed Heritage title run. Because that's what we were building to. Like I did this whole character change at Championship Wrestling Hollywood.
Jeans Ray.
The Jeans Ray, but it was the Who Cares Ray, and that was like that was so much fun because like I was able to kind of just act like how I would actually act at the taping, like just be, why am I here? Like,
Sure. Right.
You were doing a lot of creative stuff at the time, though.
Reflected
like
reality.
the finish of the PP3 final, genius.
Because that's an interesting story too. And
Look it up.
We'll probably end up closing with that. I don't know how long
Sure. I'm just kind of going for it.
We're
Just
rolling.
We'll finish our retirement talk and then we'll pause. And
Don't
we'll do episode 2.
tell us when to end our podcast.
We just want to make sure we get a lot.
Who
of episodes.
are you? Even?
Yeah, we can knock out at least 3 episodes.
Yeah. So
Because I could talk a lot. I have a lot to talk about.
I know.
I was sitting in the car driving on this long drive that I had to get here
I'm sorry.
on a Saturday morning. That I thought, like, okay, I'm gonna talk about this. I'm gonna talk about this. I'm gonna talk about that. Blah, 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 blah. But anyway, the PP3 Cup.
I wanted Danny Limelight. You wanted Ray Rosas.
We all want Danny Limelight, all right? The finish, the finals, right? Once I found I was going to the finals, once I found out who I was wrestling, I was like, I have to win. Like, I'm gonna win, but I have to do it in the worst, shittiest way possible. Like, I don't want people
Because he's giant and everyone loves him.
yeah, and I don't want people to
was
be
it?
like,
Who'd you
It was Anthony Idol.
yeah, and I don't want people to be like, oh, Ray won, he deserved it, like, because like. Even though I'm the bad guy, there's like all this goodwill that I've earned with the fans.
Of course.
So they're like, cool, this is gonna be a good match, and like Ray's gonna, so I don't want, and also I didn't want to beat him, like I didn't want to pin him, Of course, we could have had a run in and beat him up or just something, hit him with something, and then cover him. But I didn't want to pin him. I don't want to make him submit. But I'm like, who's ever won a tournament by disqualification? Like, nobody's ever won a tournament by disqualification.
It's not a title match, so who cares?
Yeah.
You can win that way.
So, and I remember I had this finish in my back pocket for years and years. It was, and I watched it on CMLL of all places. It was Negro Casas and Rush. Is Rush still on ROH?
Yeah.
Okay, well, but it was.
I think so. I actually don't know.
But it was they had a one-on-one. They had a rare one-on-one match because everything on a Lucha Libre is like 6-man tag.
Yeah.
So they had a rare one-on-one match, and they were just going at it. And Negro Casas is like 68 at the time, and he was going, man. I hope to be as good as him when I'm that age. Hope to be as good as him right now. But he did the thing where he kicked out of one of Rush's finishes or falses, and then he was like kind of arguing with the ref, and it's slightly different there because in Mexico they have heel refs and babyface refs. So I think it was a heel ref. So he was kind of arguing with the heel ref, and then Negro Casas reached in and grabbed his boot tassels and pulled him and gave him a low blow. And I remember thinking oh my god. And I watched that years ago. It had to been maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
And you just always were like in the back of your mind.
And I'm like, oh my god. And I'm like, I can't blow that or burn that on anything, like on any show, until it's like the right time. And this presented an opportunity, and I'm gonna do that. And I remember telling people about the finish, and oh, that's brilliant. And I'm like, it's not my idea, but okay, I'll take your credit for it. So when we pulled it off, I'm like, cool, it's even perfect because he's got the
longer pants,
the bell bottom, longer pants, and pull into the low blow. And the fans, I remember the fans like, oh man, and like people in the back because we didn't tell were like losing their mind about the, I won by disqualification, and it's like the perfect way for that character of Ray Rosas to win.
Yeah,
to just.
And it's
real
something
piece of work
that you just talked about is like having something like that, a finish, a spot, and you're like, when is the time to use it? And that's something that I think is like a talent to know when to hold it and when to go. Because I watch something cool and I go that Friday, like, okay, I'm doing this spot.
Yeah, I think
I've wasted so many good
because even
good spots.
if people had seen it already, seen that spot with Negro Casas. It would like if another wrestler had watched the exact same episode that I had done and maybe done it that weekend, it would have been years before anybody had ever seen it again.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
So if you see a cool finish, it's why people end up redoing the finish of WrestleMania 20 with Eddie and Kurt. Let me do a small package with my feet on the ropes.
Yeah.
Oh, let me get my boot taken off.
Yeah.
They're doing it. They maybe do that now because we haven't seen it in so long.
Sure.
And I have to because I'm gonna forget if I don't. I have to put you over in regards to how you train us and like how the way that wrestling kind of works nowadays is the PP3 Cup is this big tournament. It's this big promotion, like it's a TV promotion that you've been a part of for a long time. And like realistically, you've kind of earned that right of I win this big tournament, I pin the big guy and I get this cool moment, even if I'm the bad guy, but you still choose to put the show and your character above your own feelings.
Yeah,
and Danny and I talked about that a little bit about like putting the show above yourself and how that's kind of a lost way of learning wrestling nowadays because everyone's like, steal the show, be the best you can be. all the time. Like that's cool.
And both ideas have the same or have validity in it. And
Yeah.
we'll talk about that in the next episode.
Yeah, for sure. I just wanted to make that a point.
That's a booking point.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that. But briefly, to talk about what you're saying about the because we're making a television program.
Exactly.
We're making TV, so it's slightly different. I don't think people kind of grasp the idea of like just like indie wrestling and then television wrestling, and we'll talk about that in the next episode too.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like this because like I'm not going to betray my character that I've been built that I have such care in. Because Ray Rosas didn't even care about being in the tournament. He didn't care about winning the tournament. He didn't care about the cup. He wanted just
Get me on the show, get me paid. I don't care.
yeah. And the fact that he just just kept winning and going through, it's like, well, I guess I'll have to wrestle again and make more money. That was the main motivator. It's like I'm just gonna I'm sick of this company holding me down. I'm gonna do it in spite of it. And so it's like it just made sense. It's like one of those things. It's like this. That makes sense. Like, why would I try and win when I can just?
It's the point of people forget that you're playing a character when you're on a wrestling show.
Right.
Yes, everybody wants to be badass,
Everybody.
but not every character is badass. Like,
If everyone's badass, nobody is.
To use a Dragon Ball Z reference, not everybody can be Goku. Someone has to be Yamcha and Krillin and all those other guys. Like you need them.
I want to be Master Roshi.
You are. Are you kidding me?
I end up being Chaozu all the time. I just get dead.
No, you're Yamcha. You die.
Yeah.
You get beat up and
I
you're
hate you guys.
My favorite's Piccolo because, like,
he's the
bad guy turned
he's
the
a
most
badass,
good.
But yeah, and he has a great arc. Like Gohan, it's changed him. But like, I hate that how like kind of he always gets thrown in the back burner for Goku and Vegeta.
Because he can't turn Super Saiyan, whatever.
Yeah, like it's like now it's just like the Super Saiyan show when they have like a bunch of different characters.
Yeah, once that was why was this coming up? But that was the problem with that show is everybody got too powerful and too badass, and then like all the cool characters that weren't Super Saiyans just got lost because obviously Piccolo can't.
Don't let your wrestling show turn into the late Dragon Ball Z.
That's why I like that Garlic Jr. saga when it was just Piccolo,
Yes.
Goku,
Yeah.
Piccolo, Gohan, and Krillin.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was just like them three. I'm like, this is a cool little
and
change of pace.
Yes, and then in Frieza, when the Super Saiyan was like the end all, but like Piccolo had to hold his own against Frieza before Goku even showed up. It was like Piccolo was the guy.
That was the hardest fight in Budokai 1. You had to be Piccolo versus Frieza.
Because he fused with Nail.
That's right.
He fused with Nail, that's when he was
Used
stronger.
Nail.
And then when he fused with Kami, then
he was able to beat Cell, though.
Yeah.
They don't ever talk about that. He was going to beat Cell, and Cell... This is not important. I'm sorry. So you did the suplex?
That's what I'm saying is like, I think in terms of anime, and like everybody wants to be the Goku and be strong and badass. But all right, I'm watching My Hero Academia with all these different. They focus on the class.
Yeah.
The class, like Deku's the main one,
Sure.
but they focus on the whole class, and each one of them kind of gets their own shine and motivation, and they all have their own strengths and quirks and weaknesses. And that's how wrestling should be. Is like we should all have. They don't just stay on Deku. Like they'll focus on Kirishima one episode, and then they'll focus on Bakugo one episode, and so on and so forth. Not to get too nerdy.
This is a perfect segue into the next
booking.
episode,
So
which is the
we're gonna-
booking
yeah, we're gonna
episode.
talk booking, but let's wrap with so you're not retired.
I was doing a rap.
Yeah, I eventually decided not to retire because I had way too many opportunities ahead of me, and I'm glad I didn't because I would have missed out on so much.
You went to Florida.
Yeah, I went to Florida. Why would I would have no business in Florida in any other realm of reality.
What if you went to Disney World?
That was
I guess.
That's in Florida.
That is in Florida.
Yeah,
You could go on like a trip.
Yeah, you're right.
With kids.
Okay, wrap it up.
Whatever.
Anyway,
You just ruined it.
Great. Ray's not retired, everyone.
Thank you for watching this episode of Millennial Pro Wrestling. Stay tuned for next week's episode with our new guest, Still Ray Rosas.
Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Make sure to follow me at Ray Rosas on Twitter and at other Ray Rosas on Instagram.
Danny, put my Twitter and
Brendan
Instagram
_Divine.
and then what's
Danny
Instagram?
Divine Pro. And it's the same thing on Instagram. I think it's Brendan Divine 1.
And our Pro Wrestling Tee store got approved.
Oh, yeah. So now
So
you can,
be on the lookout. We'll put the links in the
Yeah, you can buy Millennial
down
shirt,
below.
Danny Divine shirts, Brendan Divine shirts, and Daniel Moon shirts.
I don't even have a Pro Wrestling t-shirt.
Get it. It's very
You
easy.
wanna-
store.
Yeah, well.
You want us to sell Ray Rosas stuff?
Anyways,
You should sell these.
peace.
Oh, we should. Thank you. We love you.